Hi guys, this is Jackie from techjackie.com and welcome you to another video on SEO. In today's video, I'll discuss with you what is EAT or what stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness and how to apply it on your website. As I discussed in my previous video, how EAT is considered as the top 3 ranking factors in Google. In fact, this year, the 2019 has been considered as the important year for EAT because we have seen that Google has really emphasized on this, as well as the previous 3 or 4 core updates later on earlier in this year has been all associated with EAT, and that's why you should really have to consider applying onto your website. As you know, currently EAT is only applied to the websites which are called as YMYL sites, right? So YMYL sites, or what stands for your money, your site, your money, your life, right? And these are basically any websites which discuss or talk about any sensitive topics, right? So for example, financial, right? Or health, anything related to all these stuffs, right? Which are pretty sensitive in the topic. And why Google really emphasizes that these type of websites should have EAT, right? Basically, the goals of the search engines, or Google in particularly, is to deliver the most relevant and quality results to the users, right? And as you know, nowadays there are lots of spammy and scams going around on the internet, right? And Google really wants to make sure that content related to sensitive topics in particular should always come from any experts, right, which have clear knowledge and is written by anyone with a real, who are the real practitioners in the field, right? And that's why Google really wants these type of websites to have EAT. In fact, the previous, let's say in the past 2 to 3 months, we have seen EAT expanding to other type of websites as well, right? For example, any niche website, like for example pet care website, right? So I believe that in the near future, in fact next year 2020, EAT would play a much important role in different type of websites, right? And ultimately it will be applied to every type of website out there on the internet, right? And that's why you really should take this into consideration onto your website, right? So first of all, before diving in how to apply onto your website, I would like to discuss that EAT is not any particular Google's algorithm, right? In fact, it's a collective working of algorithms together to bring out EAT. So what I mean by that, right? um, Google has many algorithms, right, which constantly work together to rank website, right? Like there are tremendous amount of algorithms out there, and these algorithms work together to rank websites. And EAT is also not different, right? Different types of algorithms working together to bring out EAT, right? Or to evaluate which site is much more expert, or which site is much more trustworthy, something like that. So it's basically a collective working of algorithms together, right, to bring out the search rankings, and that too with regards to EAT, right? And there's actually one more thing here, right? As you might have heard, there's something called as Google search quality guidelines, right? Which basically is this like hundred of pages long guidelines, as you can see here, right? I'll leave the link in the description below so you can go through it a little bit by yourself, which basically used by the Google quality raters, or a group of people hired by Google across the world to randomly rate your website, right, according to these guidelines. These are the actual people, right, which Google hired to rate your website and give your website a score, right, based on these listings. Google quality raters don't have direct impact on the Google search ranking, but their quality and their quality score and their feedbacks are taken into consideration whenever Google makes any update to their algorithm, right? This is because Google is consistently, right, constantly, in fact constantly, right, constantly updating, learning, and adapting, right, its own algorithm, partly because it's the majority of its algorithm is powered by AI, right? And AI is constantly learning and adapting to new things. So whenever the Google's quality raters rate different type of websites, they kind of tell to Google that what are the characteristic of good websites, what are the characteristic of bad websites, and with their information and data, they feed it into the algorithm, and algorithm recognize which type of website to rank higher, which type of website to rank lower based on the quality of the website, right? And that's basically how Google uses the quality guidelines to rank websites, right? There's no direct impact, but their feedback will always be fed to the algorithm to consistently rank websites, right? And since Google has introduced EAT to their algorithm, right, they have really applied to their search guidelines as well, right? As you can see here, like all these YMYL pages, right? All these stuffs, right? Lowest EAT, as you can see here. That's why EAT has become such an important thing, because it is directly used by the quality raters to rate your website, right? So coming to how to really apply it onto your website, right? There are basically two things you need to keep in mind. Number one is the EAT on your actual website, right, or content, right? And second type is EAT, let's say outside outside your website, right? Outside your website. So this is basically referred to as special on-page SEO, right? Special on-page SEO, right? And as you have guessed, this special off-page SEO, right? And for you to easily understand, right? Because any SEO done on your website is normally termed as on-page, right? And any SEO done outside your website is normally termed as off-page, right? So when Google takes when Google looks at your website, they look at these two factors, right? Like what are the EAT on your website, what are the EAT outside your website. And when they really consider anything outside your website is given more weight, right, or given more importance. And I'll explain to you why. So with regards to special on page, right, or the EAT done on your website, there are basically a couple of things you can do, right, to signal to Google that your website or you are the actual experts in the field, right? Because see, Google is just a mere algorithm, right? It doesn't know whether you're an expert or not. So it needs to have a clear signals that you're an actual expert, right? And how do you do that? You do that through the on-page, special on-page SEO and special off-page SEO, right? So with regards to the special on-page SEO, or how you signal to Google that you're an actual expert in the field, here are a couple of things you can do. So let's say have important pages, right? Important pages on your site, right? So this could be like home page, right? So for example, let's say you're running a healthcare website, you may list on your homepage that you're a team of let's say 10 doctors, 15 doctors, something like that, right? Which really tells to Google that okay, you're an actual professional, right? Like actual doctors running a healthcare website. Or about us page, right? This is also very important. Like Google wants to know that who are you exactly, right? About us. Or even privacy and terms page, right? Privacy and terms page. So this is also a characteristic of good, real, legit websites, right? What else we can do here? Let's say have an author box, right? Author box. So when Google looks at any piece of your content and it sees that that about any of the information about yourself, right, within your author box, or maybe a link to your social media accounts, right, that also would be considered as a good practices to really tells to Google that you're an actual practitioners or you're an actual experts, right, writing the content, right? So these are a couple of ways, right, that you can do it, right? And when it comes to special off-page SEO, right, or EAT outside your website, here are a couple of things you can do, right? Special off-page SEO. let's say you build links mostly through guest posts, right? So having a guest post author box is also a good way, to really tells to Google that you're an expert, right? Because you see, first of all, why Google really needs two things here, right? Anyone can write anything on their websites, that is for sure, right? But Google still would not be 100% convinced that, let's say, you're running a healthcare website, you write everything about, onto your website, that you're an actual doctor, that you're a team of doctors, something like that. How can Google be convinced that you're an actual doctor? And that's why they use the outside signal as well, right, to really convince that you're an actual doctor. Because if people mention if people talk about you or your website, a lot, it basically means that you're an actual, practitioner, or your real thing, right? Instead of, just cramping out anything that you would want to, to fake the algorithm, right? And that's why, off-page SEO is taken into consideration here. So coming back to the techniques, right, you can have a guest post author box, right, which discuss who are you, right, and your expertise. Or let's say other method, like getting backlinks, right, getting backlinks from trustworthy website, right, trustworthy sites. So suppose if you're running a healthcare website, getting backlinks from, let's say, any hospital institutions or government websites would be deemed as super trustworthy, right? Because if you're an actual doctor, you would need to have your profile on any government or hospital institution website, right? And that's how Google will really be sure that you're an actual doctor, something like that, right? Hope you're getting the point here, right? How about the third thing here? Third things here could be anything like mentions across the internet, right? So mention here doesn't always mean getting backlinks. It could be as simple as having your names plus your professional or what you do on any website. So for example, if you're a doctor and if you have your name plus your professional, let's say you're a doctor on let's say a newspaper website, then that would be deemed as trustworthy enough, right? Because Google can also read the context of the website and or the content, right, and knows that you're an actual doctor, right? What else can you do here? Let's say like your social media profile, right? That also can be considered social media profile, right? So you would want to have an accurate social media profile by mentioning that you're an actual practitioner, right? So if you're a doctor, then you would have anything related to doctor, like for example you post about your degrees, right, post about your achievements as being a doctor, something like that, right? Like all these external stuff that you can take into consideration, right? So hope you're getting the point here, right? The key idea, like from this year, is to basically signal, right, signal to Google that you're an expert, right? That's basically what sums this everything's up. Basically to signal to Google that you're an expert, because remember, Google is just a mere algorithm. It doesn't know whether you're an expert or not, and it's your job to instruct to them, right? And basically there are two areas that you can instruct: on your website itself and and from the outside source, right? And Google, when it comes to EAT, right, Google really gives any more importance to the off-page signal, right, or anything outside your website, because that is much more trustworthy, right? Because anyone can write anything on their website, right? Hope you're getting the point here. So that's all for the video, right? And if you want to go through all this stuff, right, you can do it. I'll just leave the link in the description. But basically what what this document is all about is anything related to best website practices, like for example having a home page, having an about us page, right, or writing a good quality content that users want, right, something like that. Like basically anything that any good website needs to have, right, like real business website. That pretty sum this documents up. And hope you find this video valuable, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll answer them as soon as possible, right? Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.